My name is Sandy Wirtz, and I am a Gold Star mom because of the death of my son, Scott Wirtz, in 2019. Scotty never wanted to be anything that was normal. From the time he was very tiny, he had ambitions to be at wrestling and the chase. When he was an adolescent, he wanted to be the next Tony Hawk. Well, then he came up with he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And it was the same thing, you know, these high ambitions. And I remember when he went into the Navy, I talked to him and I said, you know, Scott, you might want to have a backup plan, because if you don't make the SEALs, you don't just get out of the Navy, you're going to have to do something. No, Mom, I'm going to be a SEAL. And it was Sunday morning, I'm getting on the plane, I get this phone call, Mom, I made it. So of course, I'm all teary-eyed, walking on the plane, trying to be indiscreet so everybody else that's already seated on the plane isn't seeing me crying. But I just said, my son's gonna be a Navy SEAL. I was driving in my car on January the 19th, and I was listening to Brian Kilmeade, and he had said, we just got word that there have been 5 Americans killed in Syria. And so when I got to where I was going, I texted Scotty and I said, and I'm just checking on you. Well, I went to the store and I came back home and I hadn't heard anything, which was very unusual because it always amazed me how accessible Scotty would be no matter where he was in the world. But I kept texting Scotty and then went to bed that night and slept and everything was fine. But when the doorbell rang at midnight, I said, Scotty's dead. Scotty had been working in Syria with this special operation, which included John Turnbull, who was Army, John Farmer, who was Army, Shannon Kent, who was Navy, and then the Syrian girl, Gadir, who wanted to help the little girls in Syria to be able to go to school. And so they were all on this mission together. They were working one day and they were walking down the street and they got caught up with a suicide bomber. So that's what killed them all. As far as the grieving process goes, I would say it never goes away. We need help in so many areas with the PTSD. The friends of Scotty's that I have gotten to know since this happened, they all have PTSD. Everybody has PTSD. It really is a monumental issue. I think Dogs for Our Brave is so incredibly important. I have read stories, I've talked to people. These dogs save lives. You just have to thank God that somebody figured this out and can help them. It's a life changer. And there's nothing that could be more important for a vet than to have this pet that knows them probably better than a spouse or a child, because we're civilians. We don't know what PTSD is. So to have this wonderful dog here to be able to recognize that is just the most amazing thing. One of the most special things about Dogs for Our Brave and my involvement in it is that it helps keep Scotty's memory alive, and it helps me to carry on the pride that I have for my son and not get lost in the being sad and feeling sorry, because I know that Scotty is being honored and remembered.